very, very large tank here from Glass Cages. This is a custom Glass Cages tank. He wouldn't have to remove this whole lid in order to access the overflow back there. Hey guys, this is Tyler with Top Lids, and my voice is echoing today because we're talking about a very, very large tank here from Glass Cages. This is a custom Glass Cages tank. I don't even know the dimensions of this guy, but it's almost as tall as I am, and we had the privilege of doing a set of lids for this setup. They're in the canopy, so I will have to get on a ladder to go show you, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Glass Cages, Joe over there and all the guys. They do excellent work. We've been seeing more Glass Cages tanks recently, so really impressed with the build quality on this guy. Let me grab the ladder and then I'll show you around up top. All right, guys, so we are all up here, about 7 feet in the air. And this client has a 3-piece lid project. I'll talk about the lids in a second, but before I do, I just wanted to highlight a couple things. This is a really cool build. He hung the lights. There's a bunch of EcoTech Radions up here. So I think he has 2 of the 30s. He has a 30 there and then a 30 here. And then all the rest of them are 15s, got plenty of light coverage here. It's hanging on this sort of custom T-bar mount. I believe this is aluminum or stainless steel. And so this is all custom, it's just hanging from the top of the canopy here. Super cool. He's even got a duct in here for airflow. He's got a fan over on the left side. He said he's not quite done yet. Still has to do some work with the cables, but it's a lot farther along than when I first came here. This canopy wasn't even here. This is just a full custom canopy set. The doors open, they articulate open like this. Super, super nice stuff. This client really did it the right way that you should do it if you have a tank that's this large that you want to keep forever. This is a great way to do it. It's just having a custom canopy that hides everything, because I will say these lights are really bright. If you get them from below, they would definitely be getting in your eyes if this canopy wasn't up here. So this is really common for custom tanks this size, just to put a canopy on it. As far as the lids go, they're basically just you have the Euro brace, the glass here that runs front to back. There's 2 of them. There's one there and there's one there, and that basically gives us 3 openings to work with. There is a little lip underneath that you can see there that the lids are resting on. If your tank didn't have that, if it just had 1 piece of glass, we can also make it sit up here, but for this one it just made sense to have it recessed, because now the top of the lid is the same level as the Euro brace, right? Also, it makes it to where they can't, the lids can't really move that much. They're kind of locked in place like this. All of them do come with feed doors. So this is, I believe, a 2XL or an XL. It's a pretty large feed door. You can just grab it in the center just like this. These 3 bars, they converge in the center. Grab them in the center like that. Very easy to lift off. They're screened, so there's no condensation on the bottom. And they do sit recessed inside the lid. So if this client ever did need to take the lids off, they're not going anywhere, right? They're locked in place. If you were to take the lid off the tank, then also they wouldn't move, because they are sitting inside, right? Here we got an Avast feeder. This is my favorite feeder. It's an Avast plank feeder, and developed by Avast Marine. This is my favorite type of feeder, one, because it's giant and it holds food forever. But the really cool thing about it is most feeders, they'll drop food, they'll have a drum, the drum will come out, it'll spin, then it'll drop food on the water surface, and that's pretty much what it does. This one, it has a tube on it. And the purpose of it is food comes out here, and then it comes into this tube. There's a little pump inside there, and that pump will mix the food inside the little water column of the tube. So basically what it does is it pre-hydrates the food. If you don't hydrate the food will float on top of the water surface, and then wherever the overflow is in the tank, you can potentially have an issue with water or food getting into the overflow, going into the filtration, and spiking your nitrates. With this feeder, you don't really have that problem, just because it's going to sink down in the water column, and then it's going to get dispersed by the power heads. The overflow teeth are at the top of the tank, so if the food is down near the bottom of the tank, it like physically cannot go down the overflow anymore. So super nice feeder. Would definitely recommend them. A lot of clients will go with them, especially for the bigger builds, custom builds that needs a larger feeder, especially if it's hidden, because it is a pretty big feeder, but it's a great feeder. We do cutouts for them, just like this. Another very unique thing on this tank is the sea swirl, right? So let me kind of position it here. This sea swirl is a little contraption that will, kind of a large contraption. Essentially the purpose is it's an articulating power head mover. So what that means is it's also got a tube that's coming down. You can't really see it because the lid's blocking it, but there's a little tube that comes down there in the water, and then it's got a little elbow, and it will act like an articulating return nozzle. So it'll actually do this, right? So it'll sway side to side, and that creates some random flow in the tank. So it'll do this instead of just blowing all in one direction. It'll create some random flow. This client just has it plumbed right into his return lines, which are actually coming out the overflow box over there that we'll look at in a second. But he doesn't even have a power head hooked up to this. This is just, you can run standalone. You can just hook up some piping to it and have it articulate just like it's supposed to do. So it's a very nice little piece of equipment. We've done the cutouts for these many times. We do have the standard cutout for these. If you guys do have the sea swirl, definitely contact us before you order, because we will probably take a depth measurement, so the front to back measurement, just to make sure the cutout's going to fit right on your tank. This is a Euro brace tank, so it's a little bit different of a cutout than a rimless tank, but just contact us. We can get that sorted for you. And then let me actually go over to the other side here, because there's something special back there that I wanted to show you. Give me 1 second. All right, so here we are on this left side here. This is the very left panel, and back here is the overflow. I'm gonna try to angle the camera so you guys can see it. What this client wanted is he wanted a custom overflow cover. So that right there is the overflow. It's right below there. You can hear it, you just can't see it because the lid's covering it. But he was getting some splashing that was occurring that was just kind of, he knew he'd have this canopy on here, and so he didn't want to damage the canopy. And so he wanted a custom overflow cover. So he sent us the measurements. I was actually here at his place. So I actually just measured for him, but he could have sent us the measurements, and then we made a model for him. He approved the model of the lid just so it sits just like this. It sits nice and flush. And also there's a hose coming out of it that's for the sea swirl over there. And that hose needed a cutout. So we did a cutout for him. We measured that too, and then we got it cut out for him just like that. We usually do them a little bit tighter than that, but this is in the overflow box, so it's not like any fish are gonna get out of there. So we just did it kind of a larger cutout, so there's a margin for error. But this cover is removable, so if he needs to access the overflow cover, I only have so many hands, so I'm not gonna try it. But if he needed to access the overflow, he could just take this cover off, and then he wouldn't have to remove this whole lid in order to access the overflow back there. Okay, so here's another view of them now. And that's pretty much this project. It was super cool to work on. I'm really grateful that this client allowed me into his home to film some of this so that, to show you guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me jump back on down to the ground again, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, so that's been the custom glass cages build. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions for us, if you've got a build like this one, or just have a standard tank like a Red Sea water box, or any custom tank, and you'd like to get a lid quote for it, then you can visit toplids.com. There's a phone number at the top of the website that you can either call or text us at, or there's also a live chat button at the bottom right of the website. That's a big orange button, and then you can talk live with one of our designers just straight from the site. So, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll talk with you soon.